elementary school, right? So just a little bit about myself before I start the presentation. So. So who am I? I'm a master's graduate student of University of Glasgow. I studied adult education for social change. I'm not sure if I still can consider myself, prospective student because I finished in 2021. Still consider myself, student, master's student. Like they made us like lifelong learners. Maybe that's the reason. So I am currently working as a project manager at TESOL International Training Agency. Okay, thank you. So this is another career progress. I consider myself being working as a managerial position in one of these agencies, which is delivering trainings and tour guides for professionals and individuals. And at the same time, I'm a researcher. I'm researching gender empowerment and domestic violence, gender-based violence topics. These are my research topic areas, which I started when I was doing my master's research. I'm still doing. And one of my main responsibilities, I can call it like my job. I'm a mom of 2 boys, which I consider teenagers. Which is the hardest job I might be doing currently, growing up as teens and looking forward to make them like adults, proper, reliable adults. So today I want to talk about gender empowerment with you guys. So what we call women empowerment. Today's topic is called like women empowerment in Uzbekistan. Steps close the gender gap and to highlight gender equality in Uzbekistan. So what kind of steps being taken? Are women empowered in Uzbekistan? Where we are in this process, in this journey. I consider myself one of the empowered women. But where my journey started? It started when I started learning the language. So learning English was my first step towards my transformation. I started interacting with people. I started learning from different people worldwide, and I started changing my mindset, transforming and getting to know about the things that I didn't consider before. And next step was studying abroad. Living in the environment, working in this environment in the UK, that was another step for me to realize my potential, what I can do. That was quite different from my initial impressions as a woman in Uzbekistan living. So let's talk about ladies, who you can see in the picture. So anyone can tell me? One of these great ladies who changed the world, who changed the history of the world.
And some of them are contradicting nowadays on social media.
Oh, yes. Well, one of them is like Oprah Winfrey. Yeah. She's my favorite. The way she speaks, the way she's, articulate the women's power, that's something makes me inspired. And another lady I can see here, Queen Elizabeth. Yeah. That persona defined the pride of all women in the UK. Thanks to Queen Elizabeth, the ladies are treated like princesses and queens in the UK still. All the ladies are born in this country considered like queen, equated to Queen Elizabeth. So this some of like examples like all over the world. We can state some names here as well, like Angela Merkel, Melinda Gates, Michael Obama, and there's so many of these ladies still making changes, shaking the world of, stereotypes, gender stereotypes all over the world, and making steps towards engaging ladies into science and STEM. These were videos, just because we have limited time allocated. I would love to give just the content of the videos. So young girls in STEM and science. There was an 8-year-old girl who was talking in the United Nations about AI. So this girl was generator of AI at this age. So IT intelligence and this girl, the voices that can be, heard in all of this United Nations conference was, there are only 4 women who got Nobel Prize all over the world among women. I want to have more women who win Nobel Prize. I want to live in a world where women, there are more women, like equal amount of women in science as well as men. Where women are not looked at if they are capable of learning science or not. As an 8-year-old, I'm a candidate, I'm a change agent. That was the content of this, like speech given in the United Nations, which made me, stir up. So, let's talk about gender empowerment in Uzbekistan. How our women are empowered in Uzbekistan. There are so many ladies we can state right now. So we have shifts towards positivity. We have really great steps taken so far, which I can state here. Well, all the third of Uzbek parliamenters are women, so we have women in Senate, in the government bodies. Women have been appointed high positions, executive and law enforcement agencies. There are so many women working in senior positions in different government and non-government organizations, like the rector of this university as well. So ladies, which makes it clear that ladies started taking some high positions in the government system. 16 women currently hold senior positions in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. I'm assuming this figure might have grown up because this data is a little bit, 1 year old later, older. 6 women have been appointed to the post of 195 governors. So what else we can talk about here? Business. Owned by women is 38% across the Republic in 2021, which is increased to 19% in 2018. And I do believe this figure might have increased as well. 2020 statistics shows that females are participating in PhD a lot more recently. So again, PhD students here and lecturers working in the university, the number of lecturers. So these are the engagement of ladies in science and business, entrepreneurship. So another great step I would like to mention here is changes in policy. When I was researching gender equality in Uzbekistan or gender-based violence in Uzbekistan in 2019, I didn't find these policies. We didn't have these policies, existing policies. This is a great leap in making transformation, making changes into equal community, gender equal community. So these two policies on protecting women and harassment and violence, guarantees of equal rights and opportunities for women and men, and also amendments done in 2023, which I hope is not going to stay only in paper, which I hope is going to be practiced, which is going to be seen in action. Changes, so challenges. Still, we do have so many challenges. I am the member of this community. I'm representative of these women. I'm coming from this community, I grew up here, I'm still facing these challenges of unequal attitude towards women. So what I can say about here, limited available resources for supporting victims of domestic violence, let's say. Our policy states that victims of domestic violence should be provided with shelter. I can tell you the reality. In reality, if you face domestic violence, you're not going to have a shelter. The only thing that you can rely on is going to be only a family support, if you have it. Lack of data on the prevalence of violence against women. In our Uzbek culture, don't take me wrong, I'm not against our culture, I love our cultures in many ways. However, women are silenced, women are muted, they are not allowed to share these experiences, family-related experiences. If they're experiencing violence in any forms, violence means emotional abuse, it's not only physical abuse I'm talking about. The different types of abuse women are experiencing, economical abuse, yes. So they are not allowed to share, they are not allowed to speak up. Like Dr. Slavir mentioned earlier, people are not allowed to speak up. to express themselves freely because they're afraid, because there is institutional oppression going on. There is social oppression, we call it, which makes people silent. However, one thing I have seen not long ago when I visited American Embassy, there was like ACT activities going on for young people, and I heard ladies, 16, 15, 17-year-old girls, they were speaking about gender equality. They were voicing out. I don't want to live in a world where dads are, ashamed of having a girl, not having an heir. Thinking that girl cannot carry on their business. I want to prove my dad that I can do business. I'm more capable than he thinks, that he doesn't have to be ashamed of not having an heir, not having a son, boy child. So that was the girl's voice that made me stir up again, because this is already the starting of the change. 15, 16-year-old girls are talking like this. Another girl came up and he said, I don't want to be reliant financially on my family. I want to prove my family that I'm not a burden. I'm capable, much more capable than they think. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to show them I can stand on my own feet and I can have my own finances and budget. This is going to be my step to freedom. 16-year-old girl. I'm impressed. I'm impressed that the mindset of the girls are changing and they are not accepting the limitations, restrictions of the culture, society, putting them into their mind. So societal attitudes that condone or excuse violence against women. This is again about our social norms, cultural norms. Yes, we have really strong cultural norms, really strict family upbringing when it comes to the girls' upbringing and boys' upbringing. That differs a lot. So when they grow up, their boys, you are hero, you are capable of everything, you can do everything. But they grow up their daughters differently. You need to silence up, you need to serve, you need to make somebody happy, you need to be a mother, you need to be a servant, you need to be a pleaser. This is a cultural norm still coming. It is changing. Again, I'm telling, I see ladies here, I see young girls here, more empowered. They are saying, I'm not going to accept this culture. I'm not going to accept these rules because I deserve much more than this. This is how they are voicing out. One thing that made me happy was girls are voicing out. They are loud. They are saying, I'm not going to accept it. Yes, I grew up in this environment. However, I deserve better than this. So what made this change? How this mindset change happening? I'm happy that so many parents are making their girls educated. Education is the start of this transformation into gender equal society. Education made me empowered. My research question was, does education make women empowered? It does. It did with me, and it is doing with many others. Education, I'm not talking about just education of our country, education of teaching social norms, making them suppress or accepting these limitations or restrictions. This is something the transformation needs to change from. We need to start this change in the families. Community education needs to be put into place if you really want to change, if you really want to see this policy in practice. So community education, I mean teaching parents, changing their mindset so that family upbringing might change, so that they can treat their children, girl or boy, equally. This is where change starts. And then working with, girls that are saying, that's unfair, I don't want to accept these things. Making them sure that what they hear within is the reality, it is their voice and they should voice it out. We can give this freedom of speech to them in institutions. So why I'm saying about cultural norms that are not letting this equality, we have laws in place. We have rules in place. It's been for a long time, before this even policies. We have constitution. Our constitution doesn't stay inequality. It stays equality in everything, education, all the access for everyone. However, why it's not in practice is that the kindergarten teaches children to obey. Primary school teaches kids not to speak up and show their hands, their opinion, as if their opinion doesn't matter. They are not encouraged to creative thinking, let alone critical thinking. Universities are not allowing to students to critically challenge the lecturer because there is oppression. This is social oppression still exists. Not only cultural norms, not only social norms, but institutional oppression that exists in our community, which is not letting this equality happen. So, yeah, in a truly democratic society, there should be no place for any kind of discrimination or violence. Gender-based violence is high in many societies, even in developed countries. This is something that still, it's a long journey we need to go through, in order to make some changes, to create equal society, equal community, where ladies can be treated equally, capable, and can do, if they want to do science, if they want to do entrepreneurship, whatever they want to do with their life, and become as decision makers and become empowered. Thank you so much. Any questions?
Thank you for very inspiring speech.
Thank you so much.
Definitely very emotional.